You know what I find so incredibly interesting? Science is incredible at explaining mechanisms. Seriously, science tells us, how stars form, how DNA replicates, how digestion works, how electricity powers your phone. Science is amazing at answering the question, how does it work? But somewhere along the way, some people made a jump that science itself never actually made. They went from science explains many things through physical processes to, therefore everything that exists must ultimately have a physical explanation. Hold on. Those are two completely different statements. One is science, the other is a worldview. Because science studies matter and energy doesn't logically lead to matter and energy are all that exist. That's just like saying metal detectors only detect metal, therefore wood is a conspiracy. No, that's not how tools work. And yes, matter exists. Nobody's denying that. But the jump from matter exists to matter explains everything about minds, reason, consciousness, logic, and abstract thought, that is not an observation. That's a philosophical commitment. You didn't put consciousness in a test tube and discover that materialism is true. You didn't run an experiment and conclude that nothing beyond matter could possibly exist. In fact, that's not something science can even demonstrate. You started with the assumption that matter is all there is and then interpreted everything through that lens. And whenever consciousness, the origin of life, the laws of physics, or why there's something rather than nothing come up, you'll often hear science will eventually explain it. Maybe. I certainly hope we continue learning. But notice what just happened. That's not evidence. That's a belief about the future. That's confidence that the answer will be material before the answer even exists. So we've gone from we don't know to we already know what kind of answer we're allowed to have. And that is not science talking. That's philosophy disguised in a lab coat. But science tells us how things work. It doesn't automatically tell us that reality is nothing more than matter and energy. And because roughly 85% of the world's population believes in some form of higher power or transcendent reality, and because people have spent decades talking about a God of the gaps, I think it's fair to talk about the opposite tendency too. Welcome to my new series, Materialism of the Gaps.